But first, Monday marks 4 years since 17 students and staff were murdered in Parkland, Florida at the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. The confessed shooter, Nicholas Cruz, pled guilty in October to all of the murders. He's facing sentencing in April. It's been pushed back again. Today, let's focus on not the gunmen, but the families still mourning the loss of their loved ones. Many have turned this tragedy into a calling to push for change to laws to help prevent this from happening again. Several of the parents have created a national organization called Stand with Parkland to help bring people together. Newsy reporter Haley Bull has more from Florida.
The 17 lives lost at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in February 2018 forever changed Parkland, forever changed their families.
We sent our children to school, and they never came home one day.
That includes Gina Rose Montalto and Luke Hoyer.
He was sweet, very caring, always. People call him a mama's boy.
She was bright, she was bubbly, she was often the first one to reach out to new kids.
Their families are part of Stand with Parkland. The group's approach is to bring people together to address school safety enhancements, mental health, and responsible firearms ownership. Since it formed, they've seen significant laws passed in Florida, like the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. But there's more work ahead. With the legislative session now underway, they look to a school safety bill, another that would notify families of mental health services available and mental health coordinators.
This mental health coordinator for the district should, at a minimum, be able to follow the path that students that have gone through a behavioral threat assessment are taking.
On a federal level, they continue meeting with lawmakers.
Our goal right now is to get them to come together and help figure out how to accomplish some of these goals.
Goals like reauthorizing the National Threat Assessment Center and the Luke and Alex School Safety Act to codify a clearinghouse for best practices.
A one-stop shop for schools to log into the website and see what makes their school safe, has recommendations.
We're hopeful that with some of the infrastructure bill that has recently been passed, that some of those dollars will be spent to make sure that our schools are safer.
But since Valentine's Day 2018, more lives have been lost in school shootings.
We were hoping no other parent has to go through what we have had to go through, and it continues.
The one thing that every community has in common that has had this tragedy is they didn't think it could happen there.
Haley Bull, Parkland, Florida, Newsy.
And joining us now is the president of Stand with Parkland, Tony Montalto. We just saw him in the piece there. His daughter, Gina, was 14 years old, freshman at Stoneman Douglas High School. And she went to school one day and never came back. Tony, as we approach the 4-year anniversary on Monday, Valentine's Day, of this senseless violence, first talk about your daughter, Gina, and where she should be right now.
Well, Gina would have been in her first year of college. She would have been exploring the opportunities that are available in a new setting. She would have been enjoying the opportunity to make friends, to expand her knowledge base. Gina was a straight A student. She enjoyed everything about school, and we have no reason to think she would enjoy her college experience as well.
The individual responsible for the violence still going through the legal process. We're not going to use his name. The penalty phase now pushed back to April. How frustrating has the process been for you and the other family members?
Well, the process has been extremely frustrating. Murder trials take a long time anyway, and with the pandemic involved, it's been extraordinarily long. We've also watched as the defense team creates roadblock after roadblock and tries to cloud the issue, which is fairly clear to our families and to most other people who have closely watched this case.
What was it like to hear him plead guilty in their courtroom to those murders?
Well, first of all, it was extremely difficult to be in the room with the individual who murdered my daughter, as well as the 17 others. Remember that he also terrorized, he injured 17 and he terrorized an entire school. And he did so intentionally. Being in the room with him was was very, very difficult, very heart-wrenching. First of all, we don't like any time that the attention's on him. We much prefer the attention be on the victims, the people, the children who had their whole lives ahead of them, the coaches and staff members who helped their community. These are the people we should always be remembering, but we understand the court system is about accountability. We're hopeful to find that.
Let's talk about Stand with Parkland. Why is it so important to get assessments of people's mental health, and specifically students at this very vulnerable age? Explain.
Well, we've worked with the National Threat Assessment Center, part of the U.S. Secret Service, and these folks do great research, which is used to keep our elected officials safe, our schools safe, our public buildings. So we're happy to have worked with them. In their research, they have found that the best way, the most proactive tool we could use is called a behavioral threat assessment. They have laid out model procedures of how that should be done in numerous reports. One that came out in 2018, another one in 2019, Protect American Schools, which we helped them on their rollout and helped train over 5,000 school professionals, mental health professionals, and law enforcement nationwide. And then it's also been reiterated in their 2021 report on averted school attacks, where they went through and saw what helps prevent things. So that behavioral threat assessment, which brings together the school professionals, the mental health professionals, as well as law enforcement, each bringing its own expertise to the puzzle. That is designed to address students who have exhibited concerning behavior and to get them through the process and then get them the help they need before they resort to violence. It's not to incarcerate, it's not to stigmatize, it's to match the student who's exhibited concerning behaviors with the services that we have available. It's one of the most effective tools to do that. And again, the idea is to intercede long before any law enforcement action or violence by the student against themselves or others takes place.
It seems so practical, and as you mentioned, the resources are there. It's the coordination of it, and what's extraordinary to me is that apparently you've been meeting with a lot of senators and people around the country, and you were meeting with Gary Peters, the senator of Michigan, a couple weeks before Ethan Crumbley shot and killed 4 people in at Oxford High School. And apparently you said, you correct me if I'm wrong, you told Senator Peters inaction is meeting more devastated families like mine before you left that conversation. And that's exactly what happened a few weeks later. What's the roadblock? Why aren't both sides of the aisles jumping up and down and saying, yes, absolutely, let's boom, rubber stamp this and go?
Well, we've sadly seen a lot of pushback from both extremes. Stand with Parkland promotes a school safety triad, and that is enhanced campus security, better mental health screening and support programs, and finally, if you choose to own one, responsible firearms ownership. And we do that because each of those things failed us 4 years ago. So we've seen pushback from the right on some things and pushback from the left on some things, but quite frankly, as usual, the right and the left are screaming over those of us in the middle. As you just said, the people that can have a discussion, that can listen to one another. And we need to come to a compromised position and take it forward. We need to start building the bridge that protects our students. We've heard the concerns of both extremes, and we understand them and we can address them, but we shouldn't let these fringe cases stop the progress we can make to make most of our children and students safer in school. And so we encourage everybody to please look up standwithparkland.org, join our cause. Let us advocate for you. Let us be your voice of the pragmatic people in the middle, the people who understand the differences, yet want to see progress. And that's the one thing that's missing. We've seen the Biden administration work on some things regarding red flag laws. We saw the Trump administration also support red flag laws. How come Congress isn't acting? I can't tell you, but I know that we should get on them. As far as Senator Peters was very helpful in getting the Luke and Alex school safety bill through his committee, but now we need to get it into law to codify something that Stand with Parkland has worked on, which is schoolsafety.gov and the Federal Clearinghouse for best practices regarding school safety. This website is a phenomenal one-stop shop for school safety. It's got the combined resources of the Department of Education, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, and the Department of Health and Human Services. They all come together every month to curate the data and the information that's on this site. And it's got everything from how to prevent COVID to how to adjust the climate and culture in your school and make sure that students feel safe enough that they don't need to bring weapons to protect themselves. It also has a readiness tool so you can assess your plans for an active assailant. And then once something is found to be deficient, it's got links to federal documents that help you solve that problem. And also, they just launched a new grant finder tool, which allows school districts to find federal dollars and grants that will help them improve the safety of their campus. So it truly is a one-stop shop for school safety.
Yeah, standwithparkland.org. And you've already been successful with legislation in the state of Florida, I know, and the work continues for you and your organization. And we thank you, Tony Montalto, for joining us. And all of us will be thinking about you and the other families on Monday. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Please take a second to remember your loved ones and hug them tighter each day. Thanks.